Good morning, everybody. I'm Robert Bernstein. I am the board director and the U.S. representative for an organization called Girls Education Initiative Ghana, as you can see. It is a new non-governmental organization, just about 3 years old. It's based in Accra, Ghana. It also works in the Kumasi region. Our goal is to support girls' education strictly that have disabilities in learning. And we have had a class of 13 girls. We're just completing the cycle with those 13 girls, and our goal is to have a second class begin next year. We've had some good success. Many of our girls came in with disabilities. Some of the stories of these girls who came to us are basically horrible stories. We had girls, for example, who were standing on the highway selling oranges who hadn't seen a day of school in years. We had another girl who was selling lottery tickets from a kiosk. She was about 15 or 14 years old, and she had an improper relationship with a gentleman who was running the kiosk. These situations are not rare in the developing world. Part of the problem with girls' education in the developing world is a lot of girls don't attend school. As a result of this in Ghana, you have a 25% greater chance of getting involved in a child marriage because of the lack of education. According to UN statistics, 4 out of 5 children with disabilities are in the developing world. This is highest in sub-Saharan Africa, which Ghana is a part of. In addition to which, we have situations where we understand that many of these children never attend school. If you have a child that doesn't attend school, they have no chance, and for children with disabilities, that's even greater. This program was began by a young woman named Elizabeth Patterson. Elizabeth Patterson grew up in Ghana. She had 2 parents who had relatively stable, good jobs. Her mother worked for one of the big banks. Her father owned a roadside gas station and restaurant, and they were having a decent life, as it could be described, in the area outside Accra. At some point, the parents made the decision to give that up, to bring Elizabeth and her sister to the States, because they felt that the educational opportunities would be greater for them here in the United States. They moved to New York. Elizabeth was in high school, in a boarding school in Pennsylvania. She was running track. She was looking towards a very, very good career. One night on the way back from a track meet, the van she was riding in suffered a severe motor vehicle accident. Everybody else in that van walked away except Elizabeth. She was near death, and she was left with serious cognitive and physical disabilities. At that point, she started to realize that her life had changed forever. And she made the choices at that point to do something to give back. She graduated recently from Wagner School with a Master's of Public Administration and went back and decided to develop this NGO. She is basically the driving force behind this NGO. Anything that goes on in Ghana is because of her energy, and she's a very, very strong young woman, tireless, and she's an example to all of us here who work with her. And I have to tell you, the successes we have with this organization and the contacts that she's made have really driven me as an individual and a former 25-year teacher in the school system to really get up in the morning and make my moves to help her. We have 13 girls. We are not a school. What we are is a support network. What we provide these girls with is enrichment and support. We work with them to tutor them. We work with them to make sure that they have access to tech. We work with them to make sure that they have any kind of medical or cognitive support they need. If they need glasses, we work with organizations on the ground in Accra to make sure that they have access to those examinations and those glasses. We normally don't do medical work, but we had one girl who had a severe astigmatism. We worked with an organization of an NGO that does medical work so that they were able to get her whatever medical care she needed. The other aspect of this is leadership and development and mentoring. We have programs with these girls where we make sure that they are able to go out into the community and meet those people who came from the same types of backgrounds that they did, so they can see that there is a positive goal to getting an education, and so that they can see that you can actually become successful. We have these women who are successes in the community who come back to mentor them. And we also have a public service component. I know most of the schools in the United States, particularly in New York, have a very strong public service component, and we've tried to replicate that there. Those of you who've lived in New York for a period of time understand now that we're on the verge of the UN week, so-called General Assembly week. Last year, as you know, the 70th General Assembly pushed this new set of goals called the Sustainable Development Goals. These came on the heels of the Millennium Development Goals, many of which weren't reached. And this is why we feel that the work that's going to be done is not going to be done on 42nd Street in some big giant hall where people are going to be sitting around and discussing things, but by the hard work that Elizabeth has done. Every one of these girls that you see up there, all 13 of them, came into schools with records that were on the verge of failure. I can honestly say today, as a result of the couple of years they've been in the program, the majority of them have A- averages. We feel that the exposure of these girls to tech is extremely important. As a result of that, when there is off periods of time, we don't have technology in the actual day-to-day classrooms, but what we do is that on the off times, when there's a break from school, particularly in the summer, we bring all the girls together in our Kragana, and through the services of a university from England called Lancaster University, we're able to provide them with a very generous and rich tech background. They have access to the computer lab. They have computer teachers that work with them on projects. They're being taught coding. They're also being taught how to do basic emails and things along those lines. In addition to that, last year we worked with an organization called Level Up Village. Level Up Village is a program that is based here in the United States, and what they do is they connect groups of students in the United States with groups of students in the developing world, particularly Africa. And then the two groups work together across the digital divide to make sure that a project is complete. Many of these girls will go into a classroom and have a very difficult time with subjects like literature and math. When it came time to having these young ladies in the classroom where they were working on the projects, they were asked to work on coding. We found that the coding aspect and some of the other technical digital aspects that we were working with became the entrance that they had for success. We worked from there to see that they were more successful on the more academic subjects. We have to understand that this work is expensive. It's an NGO. NGOs are competing for a lot of resources. We have had a very difficult time in sustaining the program in terms of money, but we managed to get through. A part of my job here is to go out to groups such as yourself or other universities and talk to them about this program and improve the opportunities for the girls by getting resources for them. We've made contact with a number of groups in the United States in terms of being able to prepare these girls for college, because we've had a contact with, for example, Yale University has a program for students in Africa. Obviously, these girls are not ready for college yet, but we've been told that when they are, they'll be ready to discuss putting some of these girls into their preparatory program for college at Yale University. They would spend 1 year in Africa prepping, and then they would be brought over here on a full scholarship. But at this point, I have to tell you, we have to figure out ways to make sure that we can replicate this program in terms of financial dollars. We're looking to start a second class in 2017, and we've been asked to create a school. At this point, we feel that's premature. Now, some of you may be sitting there and saying to me, well, you know, it's only 12 girls. There's thousands of girls in the world that need this stuff. But we've always felt that we want to deliver service that's efficient, that's complete, and that's appropriate for these girls before we expand and have girls in a program that are not receiving the services that they need. We're talking about a 5-year plan. Perhaps 5 years we could work with a school in Ghana that's established, or perhaps we can work with our own situation where we would have a service and our own center where we'd have these girls come at the end of the school day to work with us and also be able to spend time with us on off days, so we wouldn't have to send them to another university or another site. We want you to understand something. Disabled, Elizabeth always says, does not mean without. What it means is there's another path to get to the goals that we need to get to, and we are utilizing a lot of different means to do that. We believe that in order for Africa to develop, we need everybody, both girls and boys, to be educated, but particularly in the sense that we have an issue with girls' education in the developing world and in Africa, we want to make sure that these girls get their chance. There is absolutely no way that Ghana can truly reach its potential if girls are not going to be educated and fully integrated into all systems of Ghana. Thank you. I have questions and answers. Anybody have any questions? All right, I have brochures here if you'd like to take one. I have cards. We could also talk outside. Thank you. Appreciate it.